Something I've been enjoying doing is rendering down suet into tallow to add fat to my meals and to the meat I'm eating. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Super easy. Probably, maybe the only difficult thing about this is finding suet at a good price, depending on where you're located. I was lucky. I found a bunch of suet, and suet is just fat from the animal. It comes from around certain organs. If you can find a butcher shop in your area, I found it just at our grocery store that has a butcher shop in it. Super cheap. Let me show you. I bought a lot of these packages. So we're talking really cheap. We got a pound and a half here for $2.60. This is a nice big piece. If you can find suet that doesn't have a lot of say other material in it, because what you're trying to do is separate the fat from the meat and the little pieces of organs and other stuff that's in there. So if you can find a nice clean piece like that, that's really helpful. We might not even have to strain this much. We'll probably still strain it. So all you need to do this is a chunk of suet and a frying pan or some kind of pan with a little bit of a lip on it, and we're just gonna render it down. So we're just gonna put it on like a low to medium heat. We're gonna play around with the heat and see what works best. Don't start a fire. You don't want this on 10 out of 10 high, because not that you'd start a fire, but you're gonna get oil popping, or you're gonna get the tallow popping. And tallow is just rendered down beef fat, just rendered down suet. It's delicious. I think it doesn't really have much of a flavor in itself. I've heard people say it has kind of a beefy flavor, but I don't really see that. Some people use it in baking. It's delicious added to meat that you're eating. It kind of, I don't know, for me it has kind of like a clean, neutral flavor, excellent with some salt in it. Great to get some more fat in your diet. Really easy to do this at home. Super cheap. It's like cheaper than butter when you think about how much you're getting here. And we'll just kind of walk through this process and show you how I do it. So we're gonna take a nice big chunk of this suet and put it in the frying pan. Okay, quick little update. I got impatient. I cut that big chunk of suet into little chunks. That's what you should do. That's really the better way to do this. So slight revision here. We've taken that large chunk of suet, of fat, and chopped it into smaller pieces so it can render down more quickly and properly. We've still got quite a bit left here, so we're doing this in like a two-step process. And there was some tissue and muscle in that big chunk, so we're still going to strain it, I think, because there's going to be some debris. The other thing I didn't mention is that you can just fry this up and eat it. You can eat chunks of beef fat, and it's delicious. And just put a little salt on it. And I've heard other people say that they do this too when they're on their carnivore diet. If you need to add fat to your diet, it's so good. There's something about the combination of salt and fat together it satisfies a deep kind of primal ancient instinct for me. It tastes so right. It's more right than anything, I think, in the world. So I'm just kind of moving these pieces around, and again, you can just eat this if you want. You can just eat nice little pieces of fried fat, but we're rendering it down into a nice cooking fat that we can use to add fat to steaks and cook steaks in and add to ground beef and that sort of thing. So we're moving along. This is just a couple minutes after I've cut it up, so it's pretty quick. You'll start to see the oil, whoa, splashing, don't splash. You'll start to see it rendering off of the chunks and into a liquid form, which is what we're doing. So, very good. We'll give that a rest. So there's a lot of disagreement in the medical community about diet in general and what is the ideal human diet, and we're just so confused about it. Nobody has any idea. Medical doctors have no idea. Dietitians have no idea. There's a lot of research out there. There's a lot of conflicting evidence. It's so confusing. So this is something new. The carnivore diet, is gaining traction with a lot of people because they get really good results from it. It really seems to work well for people who have autoimmune diseases, which I do. I have horrible arthritis. I've had back surgery. I've struggled to control my weight. I grew up eating a lot of processed food and chemicals. I have a lot of, I don't have any mortal health issues, fatal, immediately threatening health issues, but a lot of smaller health issues that really add up and bother me. And so this is something I'm trying to combat that. And hey, I'm losing weight. I feel amazing. I'm sleeping better. I have excellent energy, and it feels healthy. So we're gonna keep doing it. This is what I've been doing. Eating meat for about 5 weeks. Water, carbonated water, coffee, tap water, ground beef, ribeyes, sea salt, a lot of fat. And I've been on ketogenic diets before, so it's like I know this works well for my body. When I try to do vegetarian or vegan diets, and like I've read the Michael Greger, the Dr. Greger book, How Not to Die. I know the literature on vegetarianism. I understand the ethical issues of killing animals, but whenever I do a vegetarian or vegan diet, I feel awful. I feel like I'm dying. I feel hungry. I feel starved. I feel grumpy. And I don't feel in control of my hunger. When I eat a low carbohydrate, high fat diet, I feel completely in control of my hunger and my moods and my mind. And I can tell my body adjust to a lower weight. I'm overweight, and I have been for a while. About 3 years ago, I was my ideal body weight. Before that, I was obese. And now I'm starting to get closer back to my ideal body weight. I'm about 208 right now, 208 pounds, and I'm 6 foot on a good day with my boots on. That's my joke. So I have a BMI that's on the high end of the overweight scale. It's distributed decently on my body, but ideally I should lose another 30 pounds. So I was up to 242 pounds this December 2018. That was a rough spot, I could see it. My highest ever, I was around 300 pounds when I was in grad school. And then I started a keto diet, and that really turned things around for me. I got down to 180, and then I stayed down there for a while. Moved out to Oregon. That's a whole nother story, but so I'm starting to move toward that ideal body weight again, and it's thanks to this high fat, low carb carnivore diet. All right, we're going to check on our tallow. So this is really it. This is the whole process. We're about 10 minutes in now, and we might be I'm going to turn down just a little bit, maybe to a 3, because it's a little too bubbly, but you don't want it splashing and causing a mess or even a possible danger, to your home or your kitchen. So keep it on a nice, steady, regular heat. Give it some time to render down. Keep an eye on it. Super easy. You can flip these around a little bit if you want, We've got a good, maybe like a centimeter deep of oil already, or fat, tallow. And we're only about 10 minutes into it, and this is only about half of our suet that we're using here. So pretty cool, about 10-minute mark at this point. Just keep waiting, keep watching, low heat. Okay, we're at this point now where activity has kind of stopped. We've rendered off quite a bit of tallow, so I'm going to pour it out and then see what happens. So let's do this. I've got my Pyrex in the sink. Make sure it's clean and dry. And then I'm not I don't even need to strain it really. I'm just going to use the lid on my pan here to keep the big chunks out. Okay, so there's a little bit of tallow. We got maybe 3/4 of an inch deep there. And this is why you should strain it. I don't know, I don't take my own advice. I got some little chunks in there I'm gonna fish out. Not that it really matters for my purposes if you're cooking, but if you really need a super clean tallow for baking, or I don't know, a dressing or something like that, then you might care. But just so that it lasts longer too, that it preserves better, it's better to have a clean, clear tallow. You don't want stuff in it. You don't want little pieces of meat in it, or fat, or unrendered fat. So that looks pretty good. We're gonna leave that. That's hot too. We're gonna leave it. All right, part two. We're gonna I just got rid of the pieces that were left over that were rendered down. I'm gonna eat that because it looks good. Maybe save it for later, and then we're just gonna put the rest of our suet into the pan and watch the magic happen. Now it's pretty hot, so be careful. This should go pretty quick. Oof. So I cut my suet down into little cubes so it would go faster, and I've really separated out the meaty bits that I don't want to deal with right now. I won't waste that. I'll do something with it, even make dog food out of it. I don't know yet. I like making tasty treats for the dogs out of leftover scraps and meat and bones and fat. Something you can do. Or we could, we can cut that down, render it, and then strain it. But to me, that's a hassle. I like just doing a quick strain with the lid. So we're gonna let batch number 2 get going here, and then we'll have our full container of tallow. And for me, just a little Pyrex container like that'll last about a month, maybe more. So one thing to remember when you're doing all this is to keep good kitchen hygiene going, because you're dealing with raw beef fat and raw beef muscle and raw beef tissue. So treat it like meat. Raw fat should be treated with the same kind of kitchen protocols as raw beef in general. So wash your hands frequently, sanitize surfaces, all that sort of stuff. But let's take a look at what we got here. Here are the leftover bits that didn't render down exactly. So I've just salted those, and I'm gonna eat these. It basically tastes like pork rinds. Pretty good. I think my dog might appreciate these more than I do. If you really need to add fat to your diet, you could do this. Not I don't know, not fantastic, but interesting nonetheless, that you can essentially just cook up beef fat and eat it and add fat to your diet that way, and it tastes pretty good. I wouldn't say this is like phenomenal. I wouldn't recommend going out and doing it if you haven't tried it, but leftover scraps from when you're rendering down your suet into tallow, you can eat them. Look, see, it's got like a pork rind kind of crunch to it. Basically has a pork rind kind of flavor. Beef rind, right? So that's interesting. And I probably, if I were more patient, I could have gotten more fat off of this, more tallow off these little scraps, but I lack in patience sometimes. So I'm probably gonna share this with my dog. That was a crunchy one. I'm sharing the little bits of suet that are all fried up with my pup. Sadie, sit. Sadie, sit. She loves this. Oh my goodness. This is a great little dog treat. Share the wealth, you know? Spread the wealth. Sit. Good girl. So smart. Is that delicious? All right, our second batch of tallow is about ready to come out of the pan, and you can kind of tell my judgment of when it's done is when it just kind of stops. You don't see the little pieces bubbling anymore. We've got a little activity in here, but it's pretty much done. And just remember, even though we're on like a medium low heat, this is still really hot oil, and so you want to be really, really careful. Don't, you know, that old idea of water and oil don't mix. You don't want to find out why. You don't want to see why people stress that so much. It's a really, even one little drop of water in here is going to cause the oil to splash all over. So wear an apron, you know, if you want to protect your clothing. Be really careful about, if you wash your hands, don't splash any water into the pan. It's volatile. It's really, I just love this. You know, this is an old world cooking technique. This is what Grandma and Grandpa used to do. You don't waste any part of the animal. You take that really good fat from around the organs, especially around the liver, maybe the kidneys too, I'm not sure, and you render it down. You make cooking fat out of it. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. You know, do this. You got to do this, especially if you're on a carnivore diet. It's like better than butter. If you don't want anything real processed, I mean, I don't know if I can, this is not really a processing technique. This is just a rendering technique, a cooking technique. So it's straight from the cow into the pan and then into a container in your fridge. And so it's, in my mind, if you're in a diet like carnivore diet, trying to reduce the amount of processed foods and chemicals and everything you're eating, this is better than butter. This is better than any other oil that you can purchase. And you can buy tallow. Sure, you can buy a jar of tallow for cooking, but it's pretty expensive. It's maybe $8 or $9 for a little, I don't even know, half pound or a pound. So this is just, to me, this is simpler. It's cheaper. It's like a fifth the price of buying rendered tallow, and it's kind of fun. So we're gonna pour out our second batch here. And actually, if you're smart, what you'll do is you'll let this cool off a little bit before you pour it, because we don't want to be working with volatile hot oil in a Pyrex. And there's different types of Pyrex. Some of them they can shatter. These ones have been great. It's just Pyrex brand, but I don't know. You can look that up. You can research that. So here's our finished product. This is beautiful beef tallow. It's a little dirtier than I would have liked to have had it, and by that I just mean there's little bits of unrendered fat in it. There's maybe a little bit of tissue, muscle, pieces of animal in there. It's not, I don't know if you can see or not, it's not pure. Little bits in there that, you know, I don't care about, but if you were like doing this at an artistic kind of level, or you were using it for baking, say, which some people do and you can do, you would probably want to really strain it with something fine, some kind of fine strainer. But that's okay. I'm just doing this for cooking steaks. Use this to add some fat to ground beef. Use it for all kinds of things on my carnivore diet. It should be kind of a beautiful golden color like this, and then when you put it in the fridge, it'll solidify and it will turn a whitish color, and then just use it for cooking. Use it for whatever you like. It's beautiful and it's cheap. This is the product of about a pound. I'd say about a pound of suet. So we've got, I don't know, an inch and a half, almost 2 inch and 3/4 maybe, of good quality tallow here. A little dirtier than I would have liked, but that's okay. I didn't use a strainer. I just used the lid on the pan, and this is the quick and, my quick and easy way of doing this. This is an old world technique that people have done for probably thousands of years, and it's just something nobody talks about anymore. So I wanted to make this video to show you how you can use suet or beef fat, and you could do it with pork fat. You could do this with other animal fats too, if you've got animals around your home that you're butchering. It's like you utilize the fat too. This is great. This is good stuff. Hope you enjoyed this video. Wanted to share this kind of old world cooking technique with you that I think is just fantastic, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but I think it should be a cornerstone of the carnivore diet, to make sure you have enough fat in your daily, to make sure you're getting enough fat every day. And it's a source of fat that's clean and close to the animal, say. It's not processed. So it's a way to, if you're really serious about eliminating processed foods from your diet and doing the carnivore diet for, say, elimination purposes, like I am, to try to identify what's causing inflammation in your body, I think this is a really kind of pure way of getting fat into your diet that's comes right from the animal. And ideas for you to find this stuff, I mean, you're looking for suet, S-U-E-T. Go to your butcher shop, just open up Google, see where the closest butcher is. You could get in touch with small farms near you. You can go to your grocery store, ask the folks behind the counter somewhere, ask a manager. Be resourceful, that's the thing. No one wants to pick up the phone anymore and just call people. It's like, they might even give you this stuff. Some places don't even bother selling it. They throw it away. They might just give you the suet because there's no market for it, which I find, maybe this is my, if I ever had time to start businesses, man, then this would be, I'd be out there marketing tallow, because I think it's a fantastic product. But maybe you can do that. Start a tallow business. I think this is fantastic. It's a great thing you can do at home. I really like the process of rendering the fat down. It feels productive, and it's an old grandma, grandpa, great grandpa kind of thing to do. So get in touch with that. Get in touch with your old world self and render down some suet into some tallow and use it for cooking. And again, this just what I rendered down from a pound of suet will probably last me like a month. If you're using it daily in everything you cook, it might not last you that long. But like, what's the equivalent here to, like, how many sticks of butter, is this? And the package was only a couple dollars, and there's still some pieces I could render down. So we've got probably, I'd say we probably got like 2.5 or 3 sticks of butter worth of, say, fat here. That's a hard conversion to do. Probably more than that, because it's fairly deep. It's deeper than it looks on the camera. Yeah, that's all I got for now. Sorry, kind of a slow-paced video. This isn't exactly the most exciting topic in the universe, but maybe something you can use, maybe something someone will find interesting, add to their diet, or a process you can try at home. Just be safe and careful. Use low heat. It'll actually render down better at lower heat. Beef fat has a pretty high smoke point, so that's great for cooking. That's the temperature at which it'll start smoking, right? and start causing you trouble. So different oils, different fats have different points at different temperatures at which they begin smoking, and beef fat has a relatively high smoke point. So that's fantastic for cooking, but it's also kind of dangerous because it doesn't look, the oil might, the fat, the oil, the tallow might not look that hot, but it's just because it has this relatively high smoke point. So be careful when you're using beef tallow because it can be much hotter than it looks. And even when you're rendering it down, you really only need to be at like a medium or low medium kind of temperature, like a 3 or a 4 if it's out of 8 or 10. You just want to have that kind of steady rendering process going. You don't want to start a fire in your kitchen. You want to, when you pour out the rendered tallow into a container, make sure the container is dry. So make sure if you just recently washed it, there's not water in the container, because water and hot fat do not go together. You might burn yourself. So just be careful when you're doing this, but hey, channel your inner grandma and grandpa and render down some beef suet. If you like the things I'm doing and talking about, I'm making videos about personal economy, essentially. That's how I'm kind of conceptualizing all of this, all the things I'm talking about. So personal economy is how do you manage your household and take care of yourself. And so it goes a step beyond personal finance. It's all these ideas about how to live a good life that I've drawn from philosophy and my teaching and the reading I've done and research through the years. Personal finance and philosophy and managing money and budgeting and how to buy real estate and how to do things in the world that are useful. So that's kind of how I'm conceptualizing my channel. If you like the things I'm talking about, take a minute to like a video, watch some videos, subscribe if you enjoy. I'm making videos all the time. I have videos scheduled to come out every Wednesday or Thursday for the next couple months, and then I'm doing videos on top of that. I'm having a ton of fun. So tune in, enjoy, leave me some comments, ask me some questions. I'm here to help you out. I'm kind of identifying my mission on the planet as helping other people build good, solid lives, because for a lot of years I struggled, and I finally figured it out. Things are going great for us financially, in our marriage, in our home, in my career. Got a new book coming out next year. It's like everything's 10 out of 10. So I'm trying to help other people get to that point too, because for a lot of years I struggled. I could not make ends meet. I struggled emotionally, financially. I struggled in every dimension of my life, creatively, and now it's, hey, I got somewhere. I'm making it work, so I want to share that with you too. So tune in. Hope you enjoyed this video. Take care of yourselves, okay?